Good morning. My name is Cesar Borja and I'm a Portuguese analyst, and we're here to cover Oil States International. Ticker symbol is OIS. This is the chart since the IPO, and you can see the long-term trend is bullish. The stock is approaching its all-time high here at roughly $44. It closed at $41.95 on Friday. Let's move on to the medium-term chart. Here we have the short-term trend is quite bullish, and it is approaching its all-time high. It was at 43.87, and fundamentally I believe the stock will continue to rise and surpass this high here. But before that, let's check the short-term chart. Here we have the 50 days crossing above the 200 days moving average, and definitely a bullish trend. Let's move on to my valuation model. Let me try to explain this to you very quickly. We have these yellow lines, which are known facts. The white lines are my estimates, and the dark yellow lines are calculated by this spreadsheet. So we have the initial share price was Friday's closing price of $41.95. The initial share count 49.99 million shares. So roughly 50 million shares, and this has been declining a bit. Look here, it was well, actually not. It has been roughly 49 million shares over the years, and you can see here in 2003 49.1 million, then 49.5, 49.2, and now. But I've used the fully diluted number here on my model. That's why we have this 49.99. But I expect the share count to decline 1% a year going forward for the next 3 years, and that gives me a final share count of 48.5 million. Perhaps I'm being a bit optimistic. It will remain at roughly 50 million shares. No big changes here, but that doesn't have a major effect on my valuation model, as we'll see next. Initial revenue. This is 2006 revenue of $1.9 billion, and I expect revenues to grow 10% a year for the next 3 years, which gives me a final revenue of $2.56 billion. Initial net profit margin. This is the 2006 net profit margin. It was 9.7%. Sorry. And I believe this can expand to 12%, because in Q1 2007 it was already roughly 11%, as we can see here. Let me put here, this is OIS. You can see revenues have been growing nicely here. There were 616 million in 02, then 723 million in 03, and now 1.9 billion, so very significant growth here, roughly 20%. I expect just 10% going forward, because look at these earnings per share numbers too. Very nice growth, 90 cents in 03, $1.19 in 04, $2.41 in 05, and $3.89 in 2006. As for the we'll get there, but we're here now. Final net profit margin of 12% expected for 2009, and here we have the analyst estimates of $3.92 for 07 and $4.23 for 08 on less than 10% revenue growth. But I guess everybody was expecting that the oil price to go down a bit, but it didn't. It is near its all-time highs now, so these estimates need to be pushed higher. I believe there will be some upgrades here. Anyway, moving on, we have final net income estimate of 307 million, which divided by my final share count of 48.5 million gives me an earnings per share estimate for 2009 of $6.33. If we apply the earnings multiple average of this industry, which is OIS, you can see that here at competitors. which is the oil and gas equipment services, which trades at 15.66 times earnings. Look here, our company is cheaper than others, OIS and the industry. Our company is trading at 10.75 trailing earnings, and the industry at 15.66 trailing earnings, and price to sales ratio is 1.08 for OIS and 2.52 for the industry average. So very cheap valuation here, and I put on my model this 15.66 earnings per share multiple estimate, and this gives me a final estimated share price of $99.15 and a share price compound annual growth rate expected for the next 3 years of 33.2%, which I consider very attractive and gives me an optimal selling price of $63.52. So this is attractive. On a 1 to 10 scale, I give it an 8. Thank you. Bye.